Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining the Sue Fries Show today, and I'm so thankful to be here with you. I have a special guest today. You're not going to believe who's here with me today, and we'll tell you a little bit about how we met and all that stuff, but we've got Dean Sharp in the house. Welcome, Dean Sharp.
Good to be here, Sue. I'm so thrilled to be on this side of the table.
I know. Usually it's me on this side of the table. I mean, yes, it's great. It's great to be interviewed, but it's also great to interview. And I'm looking forward to the questions and the answers we're going to find. And I hope you are too, listeners. We're just happy to be with you today. So if you don't know who Dean Sharp is, he is sought after as a custom home designer and master builder based in Southern California, renowned as the House Whisperer. Have you ever heard that term, House Whisperer? For his unique approach to turning ordinary houses into extraordinary homes. He translates his encyclopedic knowledge of architecture and construction into a witty, warm, and accessible style for his popular radio show, Home with Dean Sharp, on KFI, AM 640 in Los Angeles, Kogo 600 in San Diego, that's new, I think, and everywhere on the Home with Dean Sharp, House Whisperer podcast. I am so thankful you're with us, Dean. And I want to talk, you can tell the audience, how did we meet?
Well, we met kind of indirectly, I think, initially because I ran across your pest control company, kept running across it and being impressed with it, and eventually got our account executives to say, will you track her down, please? I would really love her to be a partner on the show. And eventually that went together and it happened, and it's happening now.
Yes.
I mean, you're still partnering with us on the show, and so it's been great. And I've had you on my show, and that was a fantastic time, so glad to be here.
Yes, and I'm glad to be partnering up, and it's wonderful. And I did come to your studio, and I got to see your work in action because your backyard is just amazing, and I'm so jealous of your backyard. I walked into it, and I just felt like I had peace and serenity, and hearing the water, the brook running, and chickens and the birds, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot just by walking into your backyard, and I thought, wow, if this is what he does, I want that for my home. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want that, but, a lot of people probably just don't even know that it could exist, but it does.
A lot of people don't really shoot very high when it comes to their own homes. They just kind of assume that, what they have is what they get, and there's not a whole lot that can be done with it, and that's totally not the case. And I should say, when you say our studio, so the KFI studios are just down the road here in Burbank.
Yes,
but I am in the very fortunate situation on the weekends where I usually don't have to come into Burbank, and so I can. COVID helped us along with that as well. So we built a little studio in the backyard, and that's where we do the show most of the time. And that's why there are chickens in the background. They don't allow chickens at KFI.
Right, I understand, but I have to tell you, I have 8 chickens at my office. So believe that or not, it is a true story. And I really love my chickens. And seeing how you feed your chickens and that you had them hanging, the feeders were hanging, and mine are on the ground, that made so much sense. So I went back right from being with you, and I fixed mine to be hanging too. So if you're a chicken lover and that's a little tidbit, that would be great. I wanted to know, Dean, a little bit about how you got started doing this. I mean, okay, how did you get started as working as an architect and doing master building and all of that? How did that start? And then how did that get into you having a radio show? Because I think we both have a kind of interesting story there.
Well, yeah, the radio was definitely not part of it. Excuse me. Excuse me.
You got your water.
I got my water.
Good.
Just wasn't helping enough.
Oh dear.
So just as a clarification, I'm not an architect. I'm an architectural designer. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
And I got my start when I was very young. I started, I was pursuing art and pursuing design, and I wanted to do some form of architectural design. I hadn't zeroed in on home design or custom home design. But I also knew, not only from my upbringing, but from a little bit of field experience, that the disparity between builders and architects and design. And I wanted to kind of bridge that gap. And so I actually wanted to spend as much time training in the trades as I did with my artistic studies. So I went to work as a framing apprentice for a framing company in West Los Angeles, and it was, I don't know, whatever, fate, kismet, whatever the case may be. It just so happened that that company is a company that only worked on these estate level projects. I had no idea that was the case when I started.
Right.
And so I got this great, in fact, the very first project I ever worked on was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's house.
Oh, my goodness.
He had just, this was back, I'm dating myself, but this was back in the late 80s. His home had burnt down. There was a tragic fire. And so he'd bought another property in Stone Canyon in Bel Air, and they were rebuilding his house. That was the very first project I ever got to work on. And I really got exposed to what high-level architectural design could be, and the very best. It's one of those few zones in California where real craftsmanship is a requirement, okay? And it's actually a demand. So I got to learn both at the same time. And years went by, and I won't bore you with all the details, but I kept growing as a builder and as a designer until the two eventually merged. And then I was a design director for a company building mansions on the West Side, and eventually launched out on my own, and now here we are. And we've had a very successful, very happy little design business, my wife and I, for the last many, many years. Where radio tied into that was actually a friend of Tina, my wife, was Robin Bertolucci, who was the legendary program director for KFI. And they grew to be friends. I grew to be friends with Robin. I did some design work for Robin in her home. And then she calls me one day and says, "Hey, let's get some breakfast. I want to talk to you." And I assumed that she wanted to, that she was ready to design the, well, we were talking about designing her office, redesigning her office. So I thought, okay, that's the thing. No, it turns out that she's like, "Oh, I think you should have a weekend design and home improvement show on the most listened to talk radio station in North America."
Were you sitting down?
Oh, yeah, we were having breakfast.
Yes.
I probably spit my food out. I probably did a little spit take.
Right.
But my reaction to her was like, yeah, why in the world? What level of insanity, it makes you think that, because of my extensive radio experience, which is zero.
You do have a good radio voice, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, that just came when I was born. I didn't do anything for this. So,
right.
So yeah. And Robin said, "Trust me. You're an expert at what you do. I'm an expert at what I do. I find the right people for the right situation. Plus," she says, "I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. Don't say no. Don't say no right now."
Think about it.
So I didn't. I thought about it. And Tina knows that I've always wanted to help more and more mainstream homeowners.
Right.
And so she said that you're going to have a chance to do this by the tens of thousands every weekend if you want to do it that way.
Right.
And that really scratched an itch in me that was being undone. Because estate level projects, especially for a small salon firm like we have, they're multi-year projects. They're very engaged and very involved. Now, I don't live in anywhere like that. We build mansions during the day, and as you see, I go home to my little cottage at
Beautiful
at
little
night.
cottage, though. It's gorgeous.
We live in less than 1,500 square feet, and happily live there.
Yes.
So I've always wanted to help just mainstream, wonderful people, and never had enough time to. The show allows me to do more of that, and it has really kind of fulfilled that part of me.
Right. And I've listened to your show. I didn't know who you were, really, because I didn't listen to the station, and because I listened to other things. And when it was brought up to me, I thought, I better listen, because I want to know who's going to be representing me, and I want to make sure that we're in alliance, and I have the same mindset that I want more people to understand in my business, in the termite and pest control world, just what the options are, because it's not something people are thinking about all the time. It's kind of like buying, I put it in a concept of, if you are buying a mattress, how often do we buy a mattress? And then when you go to the store to look at mattress, you think a mattress is a mattress, and then you find out there's all these different choices you could make. And your world gets opened up, maybe more than you want it to, and you've got all these choices to make on what's most important and what's going to help me sleep better, because sleep is important. And pest control and termite is something like that. It's not a matter of if you're going to have a termite problem, it's just a matter of when. And with the other pests, a lot of the times these bugs come and they'll go, but they come back. And so to choose a company that's going to be best for you is really important. And I believe that if I educate enough people by my website and by talking on the radio or having the people we have out there explaining, that people are going to want to hire the expert, somebody that really knows what they're doing, because in the long run, it saves more money. Same with hiring someone like you, is that they can try to do it on their own, do it yourself or whatever. The product might be not as good and the service might not be as good, and they've spent all this money already before they get the results that they want.
Absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest core issues that I push on my show all the time, is that for the average homeowner, and when I say average homeowner, I don't mean average people. I just mean, normal mainstream homeowners,
Right,
who are not living behind the big gates up on the hill.
yes.
For the average homeowner, we've been trained culturally to kind of avoid design. Because designers, that's what wealthy people, wealthy people hire designers. I don't have the budget for that. And the fact of the matter is that it's design, really good design, that helps focus your budget. And that's why so many home improvement projects don't end up improving homes, honestly. You can spend a lot of money on great materials. You can even have a really good contractor. But if the design isn't there, then you're missing 80% of the impact of what could happen. And you just end up with having spent a lot of money on something that's like, well, that's nice. And I never want anybody at the end of spending, maybe $200,000 for someone to walk in and say, oh, that's nice. Really?
No.
It's nice?
That's it?
That's nice? So I'm hoping that we're slowly but surely retraining our listeners, at least, to understand that just like the big people who live in the house on the hill, when it's time to redo your home, the first call should not be to the contractor or the kitchen contractor or the electrician or whoever, but it should be to a designer to help you really hone in exactly what those changes should be. So that's, it's just part of what we do.
Totally agree. And I also, with pest control, it's like doing things in the right order. You're saying they should do that first. It's like I tell people when people are getting ready for the holidays, which is coming up, and they're going to paint their house, or they're going to redo their roof, or they're going to remodel, and they're going to add a room. It's important that a termite inspection is done before they do all those things. So the treatment, if we have to drill, if we have to do this or do that, it's very important to do things in the right order. So what you're saying is do it in the right order.
Yeah.
And hire someone like you to do that. Another thing is that I have found that our lifestyles, like me, I'm kind of a simple person. I'm a simple person, and I like to have efficiency and productivity, and I found that I sometimes don't take the time to just have peace and rest, and we all need that. We all are so busy in this world that we don't take time to just be. And in being, we can be more productive and more efficient if we take the time. And one way to do that is to have your living environment be peaceful and have serenity so that you can really think. And if you're a praying person, you can pray. And you can just feel this calm that comes over you. And I don't know about you, but I think much better when I'm in a state of calm than a state of anxiety or a state that our living environment could give us. And so having someone that can come and help us with that could be very lucrative in a lot of ways to give us that peace.
Absolutely. And that kind of, to bring it full circle, that's what really ultimately led me to make the decision to focus architectural design on custom homes. And by custom, I don't mean luxury. Again, I just mean custom, like tailored to your life, whether be it a humble, modest home or something else. But the point is home is where life is lived. It's the big HQ of your life. It is essentially the holy of holies of your emotional life.
Right.
And so affecting homes in a positive way does a lot of good for a lot of people. And so that's what I find so rewarding about it.
Absolutely. Water is really important for me. I know that when I have water around me, I'm a lot more calm. And I have a townhome that doesn't have any water in the front of it, so I got a water fountain so that I would just hear that water come through, just because I needed to hear some water. And just those simple things that we don't really think about. So that's pretty amazing.
That's something that's happening in the world of design right now, which I'm very happy about. It's called biophilic design movement. It's not a fad. It's just something that we're learning more and more. And that is how our humanity is connected to the nature and the natural world around us for our own health and sanity. And we understand it a lot of different ways, but in terms of architecture and design and things like that, we're learning that more and more. Water, the sound of falling
Yes.
water. When you think about the eons that we've lived in far closer connection to nature, I mean,
Right.
barely inside, okay,
Yeah.
for a long time. Things like birdsong and the fire, and not wildfires, obviously, but controlled
Yeah.
fire, birdsong, and the sound of falling water. These are all deep subconscious signals to us that everything's okay.
Right.
In fact, I was just sharing with somebody last weekend. Somebody called in and asked, soundproofing homes. We just got to. I need to make my home silent. And I said, silence is golden, but birdsong is platinum, because we now know scientifically that total silence is not the most relaxing state for the human mind. Actually, especially when you're outside, the most relaxing state for the human mind when you're outside is to have birdsong, because birds, who we've lived with for a long time, when there are predators or danger about, they shut up. They don't give off their location. When there's a storm brewing, they are quiet. In other words, when things are not well outside, there is silence, eerie silence.
That's really good. I never put that together.
Yeah, so
but
when
that is so true.
when you wake up in the morning and the birds are singing, you don't even have to really think about it. Subconsciously, something in your system knows everything's fine.
It's a calm day.
Everything's good.
It's going to be peaceful today.
Yeah, and those are
That is
those are
amazing.
the elements that we're imbuing design with more and more intentionally these days.
So when you go into a client and you're talking to them about, well, you're looking at the home, of course, as what you're starting with. We all have to start somewhere. And then we have the goals of where we're going and what we want. But you have to ask questions like, oh, what is it that you're looking for? What is it you want to feel? What do you want to think? Is that what you do, is kind of do that?
Yeah, in fact,
Like what's important to you?
Yeah. I end up interviewing clients in a way that I'm not sure a lot of designers do, and certainly in ways that clients aren't ready for, because they're assuming they're I'll come in and they'll say, okay,
Move this wall.
here's what I intend to do with my kitchen, which is fine. That's totally fine. I'm always happy to hear what it is their plans are, but I want to get to the why of it. I try
Right.
to get underneath it. So when somebody asks, okay, how does this work, Dean? We're just doing a simple consult. I said, well, we just need to sit down and talk for a while. I want to know what you're after. And I don't mean by that what color you want your cabinets or
Right.
how big you want this room.
Yeah.
I want to know, tell me the experience that you want to have in this space. When you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, when you come home from work, tell me what you are expecting or wanting or how you want to live in this space aspirationally. Try to avoid telling me what the house looks like. Just tell me what you want to experience here. And then you're giving me the tools to take, to listen to that, take who you are, and now move the house from point A to point B to basically allow it to conform to your life so that it assists you instead of fighting you.
Right. Do you tell them to dream big? Do you say, if money was no option, what would you want?
Yeah, well, again, I try to avoid those conversations
Right.
about exactly what can be done, because most of the time you can do things for far less than people
Yes.
expect, far less. Again, but yeah, dream big in the sense that, hey, don't you'd be shocked how many times, maybe you wouldn't be, but you'd be shocked how many times I ask somebody, what do you want your life to look like? And they are completely stumped by that question. They knew what color cabinets to tell me that they wanted, but they don't know how to tell me what they want their life to look like. So I have to break it down into simpler questions that obviously that's a huge, massive question, but that's essentially what I'm trying to get to. And it's hard to conform a house to a life when you're not exactly sure what you want in your life or where you want it to go.
That's so right. You're listening to the Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com. And my special guest today is Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. And if you haven't listened to him, you need to listen to him. And we're going to keep on going here and asking questions. And Dean, it's funny that you said what you said right now, because I was thinking about people and their lives. And so many times I talk to people about inspiring them and encouraging them on being all they can be, and, living out their purpose in their life. And doing these types of things for you for me. I just got back from a two-week trip to Argentina and Peru, and there was one day where we had nothing to do, which other days it was crammed. It was so much that we got, so much that we saw and learned. And I took a day off, and I had a massage, and I had reflexology done on my feet. And I'm like, I don't do that normally. It's not something I do on a regular basis. And after that, I just felt so refreshed, and it gave me time to just rest and calm and just be. And so many times I think we get to where we don't do that. And what you were saying about asking ourselves that question on, what is it you want out of life? What do you want out of your life, listener? What do you want out of your life? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you see it going? If you had a vision, or you could picture yourself, what does that look like? And when you do that, it could open up a whole nother view for you to be working towards as a goal for your life. And maybe it's working on purging what you have. That's something I'm working on right now, is purging. And maybe it's refining something, like an experience about a room that you might get a better experience with this one room. I have a room that I'm not using at all. It's just gathering dust. Children's stuff in there and whatnot. And I'm just thinking, gosh, what could I do with that room? And it kind of opens up my mind to, what are my possibilities? And sitting here talking with Dean Sharp right now, I'm like, I wonder what kind of experience could be created in this one room or in the whole house. And so if you are thinking something like that, maybe you need to reach out to him, and he's available to you, I'm sure. You can find him on KFI, and anything else you want to say there. We're going to halftime here.
As far as where you can find it,
find you, yeah.
Housewhisperer.design. That's our website, housewhisperer.design.
That's really easy. So after the break, cliffhanger here is we're going to be talking to Dean about, lessons he's learned along the way that maybe could help us with lessons we have learned, or that we need to learn, or maybe just changed our trajectory on maybe a decision that we're right on the verge of making, and maybe the choice could be changed just by listening to someone else's story. So we're going to talk more about that, if that's okay with you, Dean.
Sure.
You said you're open
I am
to
open.
Whatever. And so be thinking on this little break on, lessons you've learned and messages that you would want to give the listeners that are listening right now that could be helpful to them and their lives moving forward. So we'll have a little time to think about that. We have like 30 seconds left, so I don't want to get started on anything. But what do you think about the first segment of what we've just been through?
It's fun. I'm enjoying sitting on this side of the table, because I normally have to sit on the weekends for 3 hours and do, which I love doing. But
and you do an amazing job
doing that side of the show. So it's just very
animated and very like high energy. And I'm like, whoa! I thought I was high energy, but man, you get with this guy and he just blows the walls off, kind of basically. So we will be back with more of the Sue Fries Show right after this brief break.
When I was 2 years old, I had a life-threatening asthma attack.
And as a mom, I was worried. It was a big reason for pioneering our eco-friendly pest and termite treatments. With our dynamic selection of non-chemical and alternative treatments, we achieve effective results that fit the concerns for the health of your families, children, pets, and the environment.
From San Diego to San Luis Obispo, when you have a pest problem, call today.
E-Cola.
Powerful termite and pest control.
As gentle as a butterfly.
Thank you, Ecola Termite and Pest Control, for sponsoring this show. And I'm so grateful and thankful for the 16 years I've been on the air. I cannot even believe that. Dean Sharp is with me today, and I'm so excited that he's here. And this is part two of a part one, part two segment. And in the first segment, he was talking about how this all started. And it's so funny because I have a very similar story. And a lot of you listeners have already heard my story about how I was advertising on Salem Communications for about 10 years and running my termite pest control company. And one day, the general manager called me and said, "Can we go to lunch?" And I said, "Sure, you buy?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I'll be there." And we were sitting down, and he just said, "Hey, I just really believe, I've been praying about it, and I just really believe you should have your own radio show." And I sat there and looked. I said, "Is this a joke?" And he said, "No." And then I said, "I'm working 16-hour days. When am I supposed to do this? And what am I supposed to call it? And what am I going to talk about?" And that was 16 years ago, and here we still are. And the relationships the people I've met, the relationships that have been built have been wonderful. And it just keeps growing and keeps getting more exciting all the time. And so very similar story to you as far as you were working, you were building and doing all of this, but we weren't
Just minding my own business.
Yes, minding your business.
Doing my thing.
But there was an area in which we can only touch so many people. We can only teach so many people and help so many people. And as you shared, same thing applies for me, is I wanted to be able to be more significant, impactful in the message and help people that maybe don't know about termite and pest control. And now with the show being one of encouragement and inspiration, it's been really a gift for me and a legacy I'm leaving to my grandkids and to my children. They can go back, and if they hadn't known me to the degree that I talk about, which I'm really real, they'll be able to learn more about me by listening to my shows that'll be there, I guess, forever. So that's pretty exciting for me.
That's cool.
Yeah. So significant impact. You are making a significant impact because I've heard you on your show. What would you say is so important about you being on the show? What is it that means the most to you?
Well, I don't know what the most important thing to our listeners are about me doing the show, but just helping people out. It really has been great. And you anything you do and dive into, it changes you also, whether you were intending on that happening or not. So that doesn't mean that I'm now, a media diva and have to have that as part of my life from here on out. But I do enjoy doing it, and I really enjoy the art of doing radio, spoken word radio, and audio. And it's just been a lot of fun and another creative release as far as that goes. But at the core of it, I think it's just helping people in a way that I know I can, and advice giving. That's something that happens along the way too in non-house related things. But and that's all well and good. And I'm always up for sharing those thoughts with folks, but I'm not an expert any more than anybody else. I am a full-time amateur human being. That's how I describe myself. I am an expert at home design and home building, but when it comes to life, I'm just an amateur human being.
You seem, in your marriage, I met your wife, Tina, and you just seem like you have a very good marriage, and that I'm wondering why do you say that is? That you seem like you guys are working as a team. I worked with my now ex-husband for 20 years, and we didn't have healthy boundaries, and we learned just how much we were different. But I see you two together, and it just seems like you guys are supportive of each other, and you both talk very highly about the other, and it's just wonderful to hear. So what would you say to maybe marriages that might be struggling and whatnot? I mean, is there anything that you could tell them about what has worked for you? I know, tough one.
Yeah.
You said anything.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. I had a previous marriage as well,
You did?
and learned a lot with that not working out.
Mm-hmm.
Tina came along, and we did it differently. I don't know if I'm qualified to tell anybody what to do
No,
with their
just-
marriage,
just
but I'll tell you
what
this.
is working for
I'll
you.
tell you this. It's funny. You said the word marriage, and it's been months since anybody has used that term in describing my relationship with Tina, because we don't use that term.
Oh.
And it's not that we don't believe in. I mean, we're married. We are married. But
Right.
Tina is my best friend, and it is so. When people ask, what's the deal? Because you guys are like together almost 24/7, and that's a little extreme. But we work together, we live together, we run the business together, we even do the radio show together, and so. And she doesn't get on my nerves. I don't get on her nerves. I just really like her. I really like her. I think falling in love is probably a little overrated. I mean, I absolutely love her. But falling in like and staying in like with somebody, that's how I describe it. Friendship and the fact that I like her. And that has evolved in me over the years. Back, I don't know, long ago, I probably would have pulled up some deeper sounding philosophy about life and relationships. But I have come to believe actually that not marital vows, not covenants, not this, that, or the other thing, but for me, the laws of friendship, the rules of friendship, which we all know, I hope, those are the highest bar to achieve between two people. And I think where a lot of marriages fail is that you start taking that for granted or forgetting about it and just not doing it. Friendships are voluntary, Nobody has to remain your friend.
That's
They're
true.
voluntary.
Yeah.
So a good friendship is a symbol and a sign that people have continued to respect each other. They've continued to honor each other. They've continued to give each other space, to do for each other. And that's what Tina and I do. I mean, she is. The funny thing is, I introduce her at the beginning of every show, and I never. It's not actually in the script that I use to. I never call her my wife. I just tell everybody this is my design partner and my best friend in all the world, because that's actually what I hold most dearest about our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She is my best friend, and we're best buds. We're kids who love to play together. We love to work together, and we're friends. And I've actually had somebody say, "Yeah, okay, that's fine, but what more?" And I'm like, "What more is there between two people? We've been together 30 years now. She is my best friend, and that's
awesome.
really all I'm looking for in the world."
That's so great. That is so great. And yeah, you don't have to make it any more than that. So if you have a conflict, do you ever have a conflict?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
So how do you work through those conflicts? What is it you do? Do you take time out? Okay, I need a time out. I need to think about this. Or are you one that just says, here it is? Is someone more vocal than the other person? And how do you deal with conflict? Because conflict is bound to happen. It happens in any relationship.
Absolutely.
Right?
It is bound to happen. And it all depends on what the context is. But again,
True.
in a friendship, somebody has to own up at some point. And yes, sometimes we need some time to process. Everybody needs time. And the fact that we're kind of joined at the hip in terms of time does not mean that we're codependent on each other and we don't have individual thoughts and lives. We respect those individual thoughts and lives. And we give each other time to process, okay, where am I at with this? Where are you at with this? How do we come to this point? But, friends always, they always come back to each other and own up. And you're like, you know what? I was really upset that you said this and I reacted that way, but that's on me. And so, we find our way back. We find our way back. We take responsibility, each of us, for
Awesome.
the things that we do. and we find our way back, and then we find a way forward. And so that's probably the best answer I know how to give on that one.
And that's a really good answer. And goal, the goal is to keep that friendship loving, respectful, and moving forward.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. We don't have a lot of major conflicts because something we both decided long ago is that a relationship is very much like a house, is built small piece by small piece by small piece. So for me, the key is waking up every day and realizing, not taking that relationship for granted. Like, no matter what I do, she'll be here because, legally she has to be.
Yeah, no.
Waking up every day and saying, all right, here's my best friend. What am I going to do today to deserve having that best friend in my life? And what kind of a friend am I going to be to her today? And most days we both have that mindset. And so, you know what? Bit by bit, over 1,000 little bits and 10,000 little bits, you grow together in all the best ways, I think.
That is so special. Our listeners, are you hearing this? I mean, I feel this so great. This is the Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. And we're listening to Dean Sharp right now, and he's just being real, and I love that about him. And he's just being candid and honest, and what more could we ask from anyone, actually? And I always say I want to be married to my best friend, and I do. I want to be married to my best friend. And so what you're saying is exactly that.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be married to your best friend. Say, I don't want to be your friend. Well, what? You don't want to be my friend? Okay. Whatever. Yeah. So great. All right. So is there one person, or just it depends on the scenario, as far as someone taking the headship or the leadership of dealing with it? Is there one of you that seems to be more apt to tackle it head on, or both of you, because the goal is to learn from it and grow from it and move forward?
Well, I mean, in theory,
depends on the issue. Or?
Well, in theory, you both know that you're both responsible to
Right.
catch up with this and handle whatever the situation is. But life is very rare that you're both in the exact same place at the same moment. And
That's
so
true.
somebody's out in front, somebody's figuring it out early, and so you just so it changes, whoever. Tina's almost always out in front of me when it comes to things. I'll just be honest with
God
you.
bless her.
She's almost always out in front of me, and she'll make me aware of certain things, and I'll be like, "Come on, that's not true." All right, yeah, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, wherever we are, you help the other one forward.
What are the goals going forward? Do you guys talk about that? Like next steps for your relationship, or as far as what you're going to do next?
What we're going to do in the relationship or professionally,
Either
or
one, or both.
I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm not sure we have relationship goals.
Okay. Well, it sounds
I
like
mean,
you've already
That sounds like
got them.
it's a very popular term, relationship goals. But
Yeah.
but my goal is just to remain her. I mean, I hope she stays my best friend, and that's
Right, and
That's
you
our
wanna
that's
be
our goal.
her best
Whatever we're just kind of living life head on and taking on whatever comes along, and we just both really, really like the other and would rather do life's adventures together than apart. And
Yeah.
so we just kind of find that space to do it and to
You
go
travel?
forward. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
And that probably has a little bit more to do with, I can say it has to do more with me, but I am of the two of us, one of my big life priorities is, or driving forces of my life is wonder. I find it hard to find meaning in life without my wonder, and in fact, it's sort of one of the two pillars of my life: wonder and friendship. For me, that's really what drives life forward. And when I say wonder, I just mean the fact that I am so small, and I've been here for such a short period of time. And I'm still figuring literally everything out, and I will not even if I live to be 1,000 years old, which obviously I won't. But in this short life, when you think about the world, the universe, everything, 99.999 into infinity % of all there is to know, I will never know. And that makes the world a very big place, and that makes me a very small person. And that can be depressing. It could be overwhelming sometimes for people. But for me, it's just the world is just a big sandbox. And I think, on my best day, I just want to know more. I just want to understand more. And I'm just, I'm in awe of things. And I put myself in situations, that's why we travel, where we are in awe of things. Because I just feed on wonder. I feed on that, and that's what drives me forward. That kind of growth.
What's interesting about what you just said is that I just got back from this trip to Argentina and Peru, and we were visiting the Incas' living lifestyle and how they built their lives. And they talked about the walls and the stones, and it's amazing, these big heavy stones, and how did they move those stones? They didn't have the equipment we have now. How did they get those big, like tons of weight of stones? How did they get them moved? And they talked about that a little bit. But they also talked, can you tell which one is the real wall and which one is a replica of the wall? And they talked about the L in the wall, that if there was an earthquake, how they'd have an L in there. It was like Tetris. It was kind of like the game of Tetris, where all the stones are different and they fit just perfectly with no concrete, nothing in between them. They were smack dab against each other, and it was amazing to see these walls. And one thing that I noticed, and it was something that really became clear, is that the walls they built, they leaned, and they leaned to make the foundation even stronger. And I thought, how interesting. Are we doing that now? Or do we build our houses straight up and down? But they always built them tilted. And then the thing was they lean in for a stronger foundation. And I go a little deeper with that, with my mindset, is that in relationships, you need to lean in to have a strong relationship. And what you're saying is, I kind of combine the two, building a home and building the Inca villages, along with our relationships, is leaning in to each other, leaning in for a strong foundation. And you kind of put that all together in that. And the wonder of seeing how they built that with not the equipment that we have now is mind-blowing to me. I'm looking at that going, wow. And huge, huge villages. And then how they live. They eat guinea pigs, and they grow they have guinea pigs in their house, walking, running freely in the house, and they use every part of everything. Nothing is wasted. And I think about us here in our civilization and how we waste so much, but they utilize every single thing. And to just see how they lived, and how, for instance, I went to a place where they were doing the woven blankets and all those threads, and how they did that, I don't even know. And the women all are spinning their yarn of the alpaca. It's the strongest of fiber. And it showed how they mixed it together. And I had an alpaca, and I learned how to shave my alpaca. And I didn't know what to do with the shavings. After I had them, I didn't know how to clean them. I didn't know what to do with them. So I actually threw them away, and I could just, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But looking at how they live and how they use everything, they used beetles, and they squished the beetles, and they got different colored ink. And this ink never fades forever. It's the same color. And they showed how they can make the different colored inks and whatnot. And I'm just thinking, wow. And that's a dying art. It's a dying art. And they're keeping their culture going by having tourists come and pay to come and experience their life the way they experience it, so they can keep that culture going. And I just thought that was amazing that they did that.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Amazing.
Have you ever been there?
I have never been to Argentina. No.
Or Peru?
Or Peru, no.
I highly recommend it.
Well, we're going to have to put it on our list.
I think you should. And
Yeah.
do you have a bucket list of places that you want to visit?
Oh, always. And it's always changing. It's always
Well, you gotta
growing
check it
and
off
shifting,
Oh, yeah?
There's a set of caves in Vietnam right now that we want to visit.
Really?
Yeah. There
Yeah,
are
caves.
There are caves in Vietnam that are large enough to fly a 747 through.
What?
Yes, we just learned about it not too long ago. These aren't even that
Oh,
old.
my.
Well, they're ancient caves, but they have been discovered not that long ago. And we just stumbled on it, and we're like, well, okay, you can take a 6-day trip in this cave system. So anyway,
Wow.
that's one of the things on the list. And also, I'd like to go to, back to Maine. So
Never been to Maine?
Have been close to Maine, but never actually in Maine. We got very close a couple of years ago. Last year, we were in Vermont, very, very close. But I actually want to get up to Maine and to Nova Scotia. Nothing adventurous there. I just want to go there.
Yeah.
But I'd also love to climb through some Vietnamese caves. So
Yeah.
who knows? We'll put.
How about safari? Have you done the African
Nope.
safari?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Any interest?
Oh, yeah. Tina loves elephants.
Really?
She absolutely, it's her favorite animal. I call it her little spirit animal.
Yeah.
In fact, we have an elephant sound that we play on the show
I heard you have
every
to have the
week.
trunk going up in order for it to be positive. I don't even understand that.
I have no idea.
I know,
But,
I know.
but elephants are adorable. And
Yes.
so we love elephants.
They're
So,
really big.
Yeah, that'll be a thing at
Has
some
she ever
point.
ridden one?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think she's gotten that close.
How long have you been married? How long
it's-
have you been best friends?
We have been best friends just a little over 30 years, and we'll
You
be.
said that, 30 years.
Next fall, we'll be married 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's so great. Do you have children?
Two grown boys. They're off doing their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a dog?
We have three rescue
dogs.
beagles.
Yes, you do.
With lab rescue beagles,
Right.
and right now 13 chickens and a tortoise and a cat who has adopted us, a feral cat.
I didn't see your tortoise.
Who now lives in the house with us. So
Wow.
yeah, we have quite a few animals on the compound.
So we have a little time left. Is there a life lesson that you've learned that you'd like to share?
Apart from the friendship and the wonder,
How about in business? Is there a life lesson you learned in business that has helped you?
well, you know what? My father, who was a very soft-spoken man, not an artist, he was my adopted father. He's not genetically related to me. He was a very quiet man, a very, very good man, very simple man. I think what I learned from my father about that I've applied to business. He didn't teach me here's how you do business, but his idea of being a man was not like bravado and macho and all of that kind of thing. His idea was this. He's like, Dean, be competent and be kind. These are the things. And that's what he was. He was competent in what he did. And so as a result, people trusted him. He was capable. And he was a kind man. And so I would say competence, kindness in business, very, really critical, and then honesty. I like to say, and this is my own thing, this may be the one semi-wise thing I've ever said in my life that I learned years and years ago, and that is that everything meaningful in your life, that you hope to be meaningful in your life, has to learn to survive honesty. And so for me, honesty is just the filter that everything has to pass through to see if it makes it to the other side. And if it doesn't, then this is not something we're spending our time on.
Super good. I really appreciated you being with us today. And I look forward to maybe another time, Dean. And thank you so much. And thank you for endorsing and telling people about Ecola and what we offer. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Sue.
Okay. Sue Free Show. Sue Free, spelled like fries, one word.com. Be a blessing to someone each and every day. Bye for now.